Welcome back to Uprising. I'm Sonali. 6 officers from the Baltimore Police Department have been charged and arrested in a surprise announcement made by State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby last Friday. Officer Cesar Goodson Jr., who drove the van carrying Freddie Gray, has been slapped with the most charges. Here is Mosby reading out the charges on Friday morning.
The manner of death, deemed a homicide by the Maryland State Medical Examiner, is believed to be the result of a fatal injury that occurred while Mr. Gray was unrestrained by a seatbelt in the custody of the Baltimore Police Department wagon. All events occurred in Baltimore City, state of Maryland. While each of these officers are presumed innocent until proven guilty, we have brought the following charges. Officer Cesar Goodson is being charged with second-degree depraved heart murder, involuntary manslaughter, second-degree negligent assault, manslaughter by vehicle by means of gross negligence, manslaughter by vehicle by means of criminal negligence, misconduct in office, for failure to secure a prisoner, failure to render aid.
And that's Marilyn Mosby reading out the charges against Cesar Goodson Jr. The 5 other officers, including 1 female officer, have been charged with various combinations of these. All were arrested and have posted bail. 3 of the officers are African American. The case is being seen as a major test of Mosby's career. She came into office on the campaign promise of holding police accountable. She hails from a family of police going back at least 3 generations. Reactions to her announcement within Baltimore included cheers of joy and raucous car honking on the streets. Maryland Representative Elijah Cummings said, quote, "It is a new day in our city. Let the wheels of justice begin to roll." Freddie Gray's death is hardly unusual in Baltimore, a city that has been racked by the deaths and brutal beatings of scores of African Americans at the hands of police within just the past few years. My guest is Ajamu Baraka, a fellow at the Institute for Policy Studies and editor and columnist for Black Agenda Report. He just wrote the piece Baltimore and the Human Right to Resistance, Rejecting the Framework of the Oppressor. Welcome to Uprising, Ajamu.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, did you expect charges to be filed on Friday? Are you convinced of Marilyn Mosby's sincerity?
Well, I'm convinced that she was under tremendous political pressure to render some kind of charge against some or a combination of those individual police personnel involved in this horrific murder. And that pressure came primarily from the people themselves. You know, many people condemn the uprising in Baltimore, but one wonders that if there would not have been an aggressive response from the public, whether or not sufficient political pressure would have been applied that resulted in these charges. I think she's sincere in the sense that she has that objective to dissipate the anger. Whether or not is something that we need to celebrate is something to discuss.
Right, and it remains to be seen, of course, if there is a fair prosecution and, of course, a conviction. Now, one of the things that hasn't been getting as much attention, but the Wall Street Journal just reported on it, was that one of the charges facing the officers was a charge of illegal arrest. I mean, she essentially said it is not illegal for Freddie Gray to have, made eye contact with the officers. Even the knife that they recovered from him was a legal knife that he had legally had the right to carry. And so she actually put out the charge saying that the arrest itself could be seen as illegal. The Wall Street Journal says police officers nationwide could become more careful about apprehending suspects. Well, shouldn't they always be careful anyway?
Well, of course they should, and I think this is one of the most interesting things to come out of this indictment. And that is that she did level the charges that the contact and the subsequent arrest was in fact illegal. That should put police personnel on notice. But all that really means is that they're going to be more careful in terms of constructing the reason why they may have stopped someone and then subsequently arrested them. But it is a good, I think, positive step in the right direction in terms of reversing the sense of impunity that many police personnel have in the United States of America.